RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.
You ready? MLS is game on. Dochi? On. Stars on.
Kevin Sullivan, the history maker.
30,000 friends? On. Rivalries on.
Red Bull New York versus New York City.
MLS, this is our soccer. Game on.
New season, new prizes. MLS Pick'em is back. Make your picks each week for a chance to win big. It's easy. Just scan the QR code and play now. Welcome back into our beautiful studios here in MLS Countdown. Dax, B, Kaylin. It's time for predictions, and it's time for some Pick'em questions. Will Christian Benteke score tonight against Sporting Kansas City?
He won't just score, he will score 2 goals today.
Oh, I like it, Brad. He will score. Absolutely. He's on fire right now.
Goal scorer pick for this week on MLS 360?
No, I'm saving. No, I've already
So you're saying 2 and you're not picking him
But
for...
I already used
He
him.
already
Daxie.
used him. I probably should have, but I want to save him till later in the season.
All right, who's getting the win here tonight? New England Revolution hosting the Philadelphia Union. Philadelphia Union, Ty Baribo has been on fuego.
I got to go Philly. Sorry, Caleb.
Listen, I've taken some chances. Earlier in my tenure as a pundit, Sasha Kleshten's given me some stick for my bad choices. I have to go Philly here. I'm not bold enough to say New England gets off the schneid tonight.
Are you taking pointers from Sasha Kleshten, the man with the worst pointers in the...
I'm not taking pointers, but his predictions have been a little bit better than mine to start
Well,
the
his
season.
goal-scoring picks haven't hit yet this season. He's, I think, 0 for 2. See if match day 3 hits.
What else you got for us?
Atlanta United, New York Red Bulls. Who do you got?
Where's that fence?
It's in between your legs, but you're always straddling it.
I'm going to go 0-0 draw. What? That's what I think.
That is so boring.
That's what I think.
Kaylin, he is on the fence. I'm going Atlanta United at home. Emmanuel Latte-Lot. His speed is too much for that Red Bull back line.
Bias.
Not biased, bro. These are both my teams.
I think
Sure,
I might go
buddy.
the New York Red Bulls on the road, but I can never bet against my man, Miggy Almiron.
And I'm on the fence.
Huh?
And
Yeah,
I'm
but
on the
guess what?
fence.
I'm technically the host on MLS Countdown. What other matches are you looking forward to here tonight? You got Minnesota.
To be fair,
in
it was this
action.
one. It was this one. That's just the one I got my eye on.
That's the
This
one
one's
you
the one.
I'm looking forward to Nashville, Portland, strictly because
Nashville,
I want to
Portland.
see.
Oh my God.
Can I finish?
Snowfest.
I want to see my goal scorer Sam Surridge get on the board so I can start climbing the Golden
picked
Boot
Sam
ranking.
Surridge.
Don't blow me up right
End the
now.
show.
It's a good
End the
choice.
show.
I
End the
believe in you,
show.
Super Sam.
With that being said, thank you so much for joining us here on MLS Countdown. From myself, Kaylin Kyle, Bradley Wright Phillips, Dax McCarty. Head on over to MLS 360 because we've got a nice little surprise for you guys. Cannot wait for this. We are moments away from our 7:30 matchups. Got loads in store for you today, and we're going to keep it with our big opinions on MLS 360. Tune in.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted,
Ohio. This broadcast of MLS on Apple TV is presented by T-Mobile. And while this city is shifting its hopes towards warmer weather, the Orange and Blue are going to have to shift their focus from CONCACAF Champions Cup back to Major League Soccer play. As in match day number 3, they play host to their Canadian foes, Toronto FC, as they're still looking for their first win in the Robin Fraser era, coming off of 2 gut-wrenching losses in the first 2 weeks of league play. Welcome into TQL Stadium, everyone. Tyler Terrence along with Kindred East St. Albans. Thrilled to have you with us for what should be a fascinating contest between these 2 Eastern Conference opponents. And as we take a look at the starting 11 for Cincinnati, Kindred, of course, the big talking point tonight is rotating players, getting guys some rest, while at the same time trying to bounce back after their last league result against Philadelphia, which was disappointing.
Well, and Pat Noonan talked to us about changing the formation, even going to a back 4 instead of a back 3, so he could get one of his center backs some rest. And you see it in this rotation of the squad here. And Elvis Powell getting the start on that right-hand side. For me, it's about Pavel Buka in the midfield, sitting just in front of Robinson and Hidebe, and then of course Denke getting the start once again, but it's Orjano up top alongside. So starting to build some of that relationship, that chemistry between those attacking pieces, and Kubo, the ever-present, sitting in the midfield as well.
Meanwhile, for Toronto FC, they're trying to find the right formula to get that first win under Robin Fraser, Kindred, but at the same time, they're dealing with a laundry list of injuries, particularly along the back line.
Yeah, and his rotation of squad is due to necessity, not necessarily because he wants to, but you see that back line, and they are going to have to rotate heavily. Monlouis getting the start there tonight. He's been thrown into the fire, and as Robin Fraser said, he's going to stay there in the fire and get another opportunity. Kevin Long has been the stalwart in the middle of that back line, and then Osorio pulling the strings in the midfield.
These are the players to watch, presented by RBC Wealth Management, proud partner of Major League Soccer. And Kindred, for this young Argentine, Luke Orellano, who lit the league on fire last year, it's no secret what was going on behind the scenes from a front office and contract negotiation standpoint, but they're finally able to get him happy. He's going to make his first start of the season tonight.
And why wouldn't you want to start in this lineup knowing who is alongside of you and who is available in this roster? Orellano is going to be key for them as they move forward, especially with the heavy schedule. As for Toronto, it's all about Brunelleschi. What can this number 10 do? Not just in his quality, but in his leadership and pulling the strings for them, but getting his teammates involved and building the confidence of those around him and trusting his teammates.
Those were the players to watch, presented by RBC Wealth Management, proud partner of Major League Soccer. Getting set for what should be a good one, FC Cincinnati and Toronto FC live from TQL Stadium, one of the best soccer-specific stadia in all of North America, coming your way next.
Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. The sweet scent of a...
What's up, insiders? How we doing this evening? From TQL Stadium in Cincinnati, Toronto FC going on the road for the last time before their home opener on March 15th. Let's go. We've got Everett in the house. How you doing, Everett? Cheers. I need to go make a cocktail in the good old TFC Toronto Sports Insider Cup. Chick-fil-A on the way home from the soccer/volleyball/all these sports tournaments. It's been a crazy weekend. TFC, no Lorenzo Insigne tonight for TFC. Jason Hernandez playing his cards there as GM. Well played there, Jason, on that one. Put the onus on Lorenzo and say, hey, it's up to him. You might see him on the field on Saturday. Yep, we're not going to see him on the field on Saturday. He's not in the starting 11. He's not in the bench either. All right, we've got the Leafs game live right now. I've got that running right here. 2-1 Avalanche, 7:46 to go in the first. I just started the Raptors stream as well. Triple header here on Toronto Sports Insider. Time to switch this over to the Raptors. There you go, Raptors over to the live stream scene. There we go. We got that cool video coming up there. I spent a lot of time with working on that video for the business. You know what I'm saying? Go TFC, go! Let's get some points here in this one. Let's take a look. The starting lineups: Celentano. It's a local boy from around here. He actually was his goalie coach, same coach that my son has as a goalie coach. So let's go Celentano tonight. Miles Robinson in center back, solid there with Elvis Powell. Kubo, DP, former DP. Corey Baird, journeyman in MLS. For TFC, Brunelleschi up top with Spicer and Bryn Hilson there on the wings. Oso, Flores, and Longstaff in the midfield with Gomes, Long, Manlouis, and Kosi Thompson on the defense with Sean Johnson in goal. All right, I'm gonna pop this back over to the game. It looks like it's starting up here on the broadcast. So go TFC, go! Make sure you hit that like button, chat it up, and cheer on TFC loud. We'll see you guys back in the chat around halftime. Points, TFC, points. We got to get points.
We about to level up. Too fast, got high speed, that supersonic I never see. Got eyes on me.
Cheers, insiders! Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for TFC's third game of the season against FC Cincinnati at TQL Stadium. I think it's still called that. At least it was called that when I was there a couple years back with my buddy Joel. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Please take a second to hit that like button down below and please share this link out. We are trying to build an awesome community of Toronto FC fans from all over the world right here on Toronto Sports Insider. Thank you. Now, let's get back to the soccer. Hopefully, TFC can get something tonight in Cincinnati. We've got to get a point at least on the road, setting up the home opener coming up on March 15th at BMO Field. Can't wait to see you guys and hang out with you in the chat. Go TFC, go. Let's cheer loud, TFC fans. So glad to find a bunch of fellow TFC crazies out there to hang out with me on game night. Go TFC, go.
Welcome back to the west end of Cincinnati as we're getting set for a fixture that featured two very different contests last year. A 0-0 draw here at TQL Stadium, in addition to a 7-goal thriller at BMO that ended up with a Sergio Santos game winner. What do we have in store here tonight? Well, we know one thing, that the man in charge is going to be Ismail Pekovic, flanked by Andrew Bigelow, as well as Jeffrey Schwartzel. Kalen Radisoff is going to be your fourth official. Meanwhile, back in Arlington, Texas, at the VAR Control Center, Kevin Terry Jr. and Brian Dunn are your committee of ambiguity. Getting set for what should be a fascinating contest. FC Cincinnati in balance mode right now, in the middle of two legs, with Tigres in the round of 16 in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Of course, the Mexican Giants await down in Nuevo Leon. Roman Celentano and company were able to scratch away a 1-1 draw after what they should have felt like was perhaps a moment lost against Tigres. Pavel Buka on the score sheet once again. Meanwhile, for Toronto FC, bleeding goals, particularly in Central Florida against Orlando City. 4-2 was the final score, but that game really could have been a lot more if we're talking about Oscar Pareja's side. Pat Noonan proud of the way that his team bounced back on Tuesday night here at TQL Stadium after what was a really disappointing outing on the banks of the Delaware River against the Philadelphia Union, who have got off to a rip-roaring start, having put up 4 goals in each of their first 2 games. But we are back under the lights here at TQL Stadium as we invite you to turn off the world and turn on the game. We're playing for 3 points in the Eastern Conference. It is FC Cincinnati, just 4 days removed from their contest against Tigres, and Toronto FC looking for the first win in the Robert Fraser era. Tyler Terrence along with Kindred E. St. Alban, thrilled to have you with us. And Kindred, the Bailey is rocking. You wouldn't know it, but this stadium saw a game just several days ago. Meanwhile, Toronto have opportunities to work on things. They're suffering through some injuries right now. Plenty of storylines to talk about. Where do you want to start?
Well, I want to talk about Toronto because we know FC Cincinnati because they've played so many games already. This is their 6th match, including CONCACAF Champions Cup, and I know they're at home, but Toronto has a lot of things to work out, and Robin Fraser is one of those masterminds of putting together some pieces. We've seen his success in particular with the Colorado Rapids before he took on this Toronto job as the head coach, and he's dealing with the injuries, as you stated. He basically listed off who was unavailable to us and kind of joked, that's basically his starting back line right there, and it is. So he's working with some injuries, some rotation of squad for different reasons than Pat Noonan, but also an ambitious group, and Bernadeschi is going to have to continue to carry the load. We saw a different level of work rate from him just last season, but now Robin Fraser asking him to build confidence within his teammate by combining farther up the pitch and finding a way to get his teammates confidence by utilizing them, trusting them in the process to build forward. Because in that Orlando City game, he said to us, we went down a couple goals. I didn't like our mentality. Then it turned into an individualization of some players trying to do everything on their own, and that is not going to win them games. So keep an eye on Toronto on the road once again to see how they piece this one together.
Here's Yuga Kubo gets the start once more, operating in a slightly different role than what we've seen him at the start of this season. And the ball running out of play in favor of Toronto FC.
When you say Kubo starting in a different position this season, but I feel like he played everywhere but goalkeeper.
You could say that any week,
last
exactly.
year. But yes, this year he's gotten to be a little bit more steady in his starting role and getting that start a little bit deeper in the midfield, sitting just below Denke to start this match.
Here's Pavel Buka. Corey Baird trying to bring it down and knotted under control by Miles Robinson. And Alvis Powell, the Jamaican, trying to cross that and ended up testing Sean Johnson in the end.
Just seeing if he's paying attention early in this match.
Jonathan Osorio. Losing his footing was Davy Flores, who scored an absolute belter in one of the 2 goals for Toronto in that game against Orlando City. And probably would have won goal the match day in Major League Soccer, match day number 2, if not for the sensational bicycle kick that ended up drawing DC United level in the dying moments against the Chicago Fire. And again, Pat Noonan electing to shift to a 4-back tonight in an attempt to get one of his center backs a little bit of rest. And that center back that was sacrificed for this formation, a youngster from Paraguay, Gilberto Flores. We have seen a couple of times that Pat Noonan has gotten away from his patented 3-back system, as the offside flag is going to go up on Tyrese Spicer.
Well, and sometimes you think adding an additional player on the back line could help kind of the cohesiveness, you know, and shore up some of that box defending, which he's been disappointed in. But also sometimes it can create more confusion, because if you have a 3-back system that is so used to playing with each other and they have that chemistry and relationship of passing off players and marking and stepping and dropping, if you add another defensive player, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to shore up your defense. So we'll see how this back 4 looks tonight. Alvis Powell already looking a little bit shaky on some of his decision making, a couple turnovers there to start the match. Just has to find his footing, but you still have Miles Robinson sitting in the middle of the back line. Still waiting on Matt Miazga, coming back from an injury, maybe taking a little bit longer. Nick Hagland as well.
Alvis Powell with a heavy touch into the middle of the field, somehow got away with it despite the attempted swipe from Davy Flores. Corey Baird encouraging Lucas Engel to get forward. Attempted to pick out the peel back for Pavel Buka, and he has made a living on the edge of that penalty area over the first few games in all competitions, particularly in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Started out with that brace against Motagua on the road in Honduras, which is no easy task winning down there, let alone putting up 4 goals. And then, of course, had the lone goal against Tigres on Tuesday night here in Cincinnati. Since FC Cincinnati have joined Major League Soccer in 2019, they have never beaten an opponent more than they've beaten Toronto FC. They've gotten the better of the Canadians 7 times since 2019, and Toronto have never won a game at TQL Stadium. Only earned their first result at this venue last year in that 0-0 draw. Back in from Hadebe. Pushing down by the former Newcastle man, Matty Longstaff. And that's a good entry ball into Ulla Brynholdsen, who's making his first start for Toronto. And Miles Robinson is called for the foul. And that's going to be an interesting battle between those two all night.
When I thought Brynholdsen just needed to be a little bit stronger here, but maybe two-handsy from Miles Robinson as he tossed him to the side at the end. But that was a great ball out to find the target forward, because I feel like that's going to be utilized more often than not tonight for Toronto. They're going to have to be a little bit direct in moments unless they can find their midfield more consistently. Well, with Bernadeschi sitting a little bit wider on the right, spreading out the middle of the field, Brynholdsen's going to have an opportunity there to receive some of those balls, hold up play, and then play in his teammates maybe underneath or out to the wide spaces.
Nixon Gomes thrown back into the starting 11, and they actually wanted to ease him back into it, but that's another case, Kinder, of sort of being thrown into the fire just more so out of necessity as opposed to doing things by the book. Gomes was in and out of off-season training and right into the starting 11. Cincinnati will take this opportunity to send their bigger bodies into the penalty area. Whipped in by Kubo. It's not a bad ball, and it was won by Miles Robinson in the end. Always difficult to steer it on frame, and it's out of play for a goal kick. And Pat Noonan was very happy with the way that his group responded on Tuesday night. Knows that it's two different competitions, Champions Cup as well as Major League Soccer, but knowing that they're in play, recover mode, it's more so just about grinding out the results. And he said that the mentality of this group is better than he's had in years past, Kindred, because despite the fact that the relationships aren't perfect on the field yet, when you're integrating guys like Kevin Denke, Luca Rosciano only making his first start tonight, he knows that they have the fortitude to be able to say, okay, it's not going to be perfect, but we can still manage a way to get a result.
Well, a big key for him was just knowing that these guys come to work every day and kind of put their heads down and work, and also they're much more prone to problem solving on their own, not always coming to a coach or a staff member to find solutions to certain situations they're dealing with, whether it's in game or in training. And to be fair, they haven't trained a whole lot.
Great first touch from Alvis Powell into space. But Lucas, the close down from Nixon Gomes. Excellent understanding of where the space was and how to get on the better side of Alvis Powell. But above all else, speed kills. And Gomes slammed the door shut on what was a rather promising opportunity for the Jamaican. That was a great instance of Kevin Denke doing more of what Pat Noonan wants him to do, Kinder, which is 1-2 touch and getting the ball off of his feet and spinning out quickly, as opposed to being a guy that Pat Noonan said enjoys the contact and perhaps waits a little bit too long. As Buka attempted to slip it through, Kubo helps it along and cleared away by the youngster Zaymon Louis, who's making his first start at the senior level, and he ends up conceding a corner to Cincinnati.
Well, to your point about Denke, just also his east to west movement, working on that a little bit. How can he continue to move side to side, Denke up top, to create opportunities and not just always occupy the two center backs? Multifaceted, and said, absolutely, I expect Denke to be involved in the Golden Boot conversation and could be a prolific goal scorer in this league for Cincinnati.
In-swinger from Kubo. Attempted to pick out Miles Robinson, who was peeling off towards the back post. And for Robin Fraser, well, the results necessarily haven't been there sort of a real understanding that the guys are getting used to him. Only took over in the middle of January, so he hasn't had a ton of time to work with this group, or at least get settled in terms of what it's going to look like in his new head coaching role. Of course, spent several years with the Colorado Rapids and had some success with them. Of course, was a part of the coaching staff with Greg Vanney here in Toronto that did so well and really provided the golden years for this club, and one of the biggest stretches as to why this club is so proud and believes that they should be at the top of the Eastern Conference year in and year out. And he said quite simply, the guys are getting used to me, I'm getting used to them, and we got to find a way to get some results. But obviously, with the injuries and some of the things they're dealing with, particularly off the field, this is saying a lot about, obviously, the Lorenzo Insigne situation, a healthy scratch again, and sort of being frozen out from the side. And that contract and designated player spot is certainly eating up some roster space, Kinder, but above all else, this is a club that thinks that they should be threatening the Eastern Conference year in and year out, and we've seen them do it in the past, but they're a long way off the mark, at least for the moment. But Robin Fraser has proven time and time again that he is capable of it.
Well, and I think once you've tasted that success, and Toronto has, as you stated, and so has the fan base, the expectation continues to rise and stays there. And they've had some down years, they've had some tough times. They spent a lot of money on Bernardeschi and Insigne, and they've had some difficult situations with both of those players. But then we all saw Bernardeschi really buy into what was being asked of him last year. I think if you would have said, hey, you're going to play wing back, everybody would have been, no chance this guy is going to run this kind of distance up and down the pitch. But instead, he bought in, he did the work, and now Robin Fraser wants him to take on this leadership role. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Just an unfortunate turnover right there, right in the middle of the pitch, a miscommunication. Sean Johnson tries to play that long ball out, but can't keep possession. And there, Bernardeschi thinks he's touching it back to his teammate. Instead, Kubo takes a chance from distance there. Didn't miss by much. I always love talking to Robin Fraser, and I remember the same thing when he was with Colorado. He's so like measured and calm in his responses. It's like, you know, he gets fired up at some moment, but when he talks to us, it's just very measured and pragmatic about what he's trying to accomplish and understanding the fan base. He's not going to preach patience to them because their expectations are high, to your point. But at the same time, this is a new group with a new coach and new ideas, and it's going to take a little bit.
Here's the youngster Monlouis, who, of course, was scouted by Arsenal as part of their academy for years. Did actually make one appearance on loan for Reading over in England, but never made an appearance for the Gunners at the senior level, making his first senior start tonight as Jonathan Osorio was attempting to pick out Tyrese Spicer. Now Alvis Powell with a bit of work to do.
That was a great overlapping play on the left-hand side. Some good combination. It all started with the ball out of the back from Kevin Long to find the pocket of space. And a good overlapping run from Osorio. But then it looked like when he cut inside, he had runners on top of the box. Instead, he went down the line. Spicer couldn't get on the end of it.
Cleared by Davy Flores and out of play. Kevin Denke, of course, was the most expensive transfer into Major League Soccer for about 75 days before Emmanuel Latelat of Atlanta United broke that record by about $6.5 million. Coming over from Middlesbrough. And Spicer have to be wary of Luco Rochano over on the right-hand side. Teenager debut. Cameroonian Taha Nunga getting the start as he did in the game against the Union last weekend.
And look at the positioning here. Arjano has dropped below Alvis Powell, who's pushed higher up and more central.
Pavel Buka. Oreshano trying to get on that left foot. Tight window to try to find Corey Baird. Now Engel attempting to whip it in. Blocked by the 21-year-old Cozy Thompson. Buka again. Great ball. Ordashano. Runners in the box. And again, Kevin Long stabs it away. And Toronto scrambling right now and having to do a lot of emergency defending. And for the moment, it's working. But Cincinnati starting to find their groove a little bit on the ball.
Well, Toronto getting pinned back just a little bit deeper here. Basically in a 5-4-1 as they're shifting side to side, trying to pick their moments to press.
Deke on the turn. Split two defenders, and Corey Baird's first touch let him down.
How about that ball control, though, by Denke, just to keep that ball close and tight as he shields off the center back.
Beautiful nutmeg from Engel. And the angle was cut off. Dumped away by Toronto again, and they are very much on their heels. Lucas Engel in his first year with the club. Just 26 years of age, originally from Kastrup, Denmark. Sort of feels like we've yet to see the best of the 26-year-old as he continues to find his way around Major League Soccer and North America as a whole, particularly in CONCACAF Champions Cup. But he's been a workhorse for Pat Noonan early on, playing a big role in almost every single game thus far. Robinson being hounded by Brynildsen. Tanunga, formerly of Nashville SC. Corey Baird driving forward. Had it taken away momentarily and cleaned up by Buka. And now Ordashano looking for the big ball. Johnson off of his line. Alvis Powell almost got a touch to it. And the former MLS Cup MVP had to have a strong fist to be able to break that play up. And Ismir Pekmic citing a potential head injury for Alvis Powell, so he has the right to stop play, and he'll do just that.
Looking at the replay there, it almost looks like Sean Johnson does come through with a punch, but I'm not sure if he actually makes contact or if it was the body all in, but you saw Alvis Powell go down. Back to his feet now, but I couldn't tell if the ball deflected off the back of his head or if it was the punch of Sean Johnson making that run in, though. Alvis Powell kind of growing into this game. Those first 2-3 touches and passes he had out of the back weren't going in the right direction. Growing into it as the game goes on.
Miles Robinson cuts it out before it can get to Brynildsen. Evander is available off the bench for Pat Noonan and FC Cincinnati. Scary moment for the orange and blue fans as the Brazilian, who of course they acquired for $12 million from Portland, took a nasty shot to the back towards the end of the Tigres game. But Pat Noonan is hoping to have him feature at some point in the game tonight. And of course, potentially be 100% healthy for the second leg against Tigres on Tuesday night down in Monterrey. Ordashano on the turn. Getting absolutely wrapped up by Nixon Gomes, and he had done actually all of the hard part until he wrapped Ordashano up and then committed the foul.
And it looked like he did. He regained his position. And as Ordashano kind of cut the ball back, he pulls him down, but you're right, stride for stride, he cut back in, he got in position, he got behind the ball. Ends up giving a set piece up here in the mix. Ordashano with the left, or it could be Kubo once again with the right. We saw the right foot of Kubo last time from the service on this side. We'll see if they switch it up.
Odeshano's delivery, nothing close to his best. And Odeshano looking for his obligatory every 6 month or so banger from beyond midfield. The player spotlight is presented by Allstate. You are in good hands, and Kevin Denke has been spectacular over the past 4 games in all competitions, 4 goal contributions, or pardon me, in the last 5. And he has enjoyed himself immediately here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And particularly when you have such a big price tag, Kendra, I feel like it's a weight off of the front office's shoulders when they start to contribute immediately, so those question marks don't start instantaneously, where it's, was he actually worth it? And seemingly worth every penny so far.
Well, and the other piece is that we don't see, and that doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, is just the work that he puts in off the field. I mean, Pat Noonan, who has been around national teams and all sorts of club teams, has said, I have never seen anybody work like Kevin Denke works in his preparation, his routine. And they're trying to figure out a way for him to get more tired in a game. So he's not doing so much work after the game and riding the bike, and just how do we exhaust him more in a positive way to contribute to this team, but just his routine and putting the work in on the off days and the recovery aspect, just a true professional. Pat Noonan saying he's never seen anything quite like it. So not only did you pay a lot for him to score goals and get assists, he's willing to do everything necessary to be a good teammate and a true professional. Keep him fresh on the field.
Yuya Kubo felt like he was fouled. So did some of the Cincinnati faithful here at TQL. But Matty Longstaff going to ground and getting it fairly, says Ismir Pekmic. This is a Toronto group that, of course, has missed out on the postseason for the last few years. Of course, 2 years ago, finishing at the bottom of the barrel of Major League Soccer, 15th in the Eastern Conference, 29th overall. And trying to get back to the days of when they were consistently in CONCACAF Champions Cup, having made it 3 out of 4 years from 2018 through 2021. Getting to a CONCACAF Champions Cup final against Chivas back in 2018. And a fateful penalty kick shootout. Of course, saw Michael Bradley send one over the crossbar, and Toronto would cede the trophy to the Mexican Giants, Chivas. But a lot has gone on in this club over the past few years, including a number of coaching changes. Of course, thinking about the likes of Bob Bradley, John Herdman. Davey Flores was a bit angsty trying to get rid of that. Now Kubo. Looked like a brief moment for Cincinnati to counter. Brenholtz in on the turn and got the better of Robinson for a moment. Look at the pace, though, from Alvis Powell and the strength to go with it. Just bullying the Norwegian off the ball. Brenholtz trying to return the favor, and he does just that. The skipper Osorio. Bernadeschi making a run, and for one of the few times that actually on the ball in Cincinnati's defensive third. There's no better way to follow MLS this season than MLS 360. It's got you covered with every goal, every storyline from every game. Join special guest host Max Bredos, that's Tio Max to those of you who are in that circle. Bradley Wright Phillips, Sasha Kleshin, and Dax McCarty live right now, so you don't miss a moment of the action.
But is he speaking Spanish or English?
I would have to imagine it's English if,
well,
if he's with that crew.
I know, I'm just joking. Not everybody is privy to our videos that we get access to from a broadcast standpoint. We know he can speak both.
A little more than 25 minutes gone here on the west end of Cincinnati. Still no score between Toronto and the orange and blue of FC Cincinnati. Similar scoreline to what we saw, almost identical time this year between these two sides. It finished 0-0. Odashano trying to get to the byline and just running out of real estate and shaking off some of the rust that, of course, has ensued with what wasn't full participation during preseason and the opening several games of the year.
If you take a look on that one, Orejano, you just said, shaking off the rust, but he has switched over to the left-hand side of that attacking front three with Corey Baird on the right. Something must be seen in that matchup where they can find some opportunities. Or it could be about who is just behind in the outside back roll. Alice Powell versus Angle on the left.
Well, we'll see if the switch proves to be fruitful. Dangerous ball from Powell across the middle of the field. It might work out for Kevin Denke. Awkward moment as Yuya Kubo goes for goal and strikes the post. Kubo again. No goal.
Well, I think the whistle had gone before the second opportunity was even taken, but nobody could hear it. I mean, the lights even started to flicker here, but a dangerous ball. It looked like it was going to come to nothing, but it caught awkward. And then I think they asked for, it was a foul or something. Here, look, deflects off the inside of the post, but before Kubo even took that second attempt, the flag goes up and the whistle goes.
Well, the flag actually never came up from the assistant referee on the near side. And from those replays, there didn't necessarily look like there was a glaring infraction. But either way, no goal and we'll play on. And now we're getting confirmation that it was a foul called at the edge of the area.
It looked like the center official made some sort of an elbowing motion, like it was a foul at the top of the 18. But when we saw the replay, I didn't see the contact there. It more looked like he just got spun around and fell over backwards.
Sean Johnson was barking for an option, throws his hands up again, and that has been sort of a repetitive theme here for Toronto FC when they're trying to build out of the back, that there are no options everywhere you look. Well, there's a little bit of movement from Osorio out of the midfield. And now further for Tyrese Spicer. Attempting the early ball. Robinson trying to handle it only as far as Davy Flores. And now Spicer. Driving towards the byline. And that was good work from the second-year man. Of course, was the #1 overall draft pick for Toronto last year and able to win the visitors a corner.
Well, he really didn't have an option besides to take it himself to the end line. A double team was coming, and he takes a nice long touch to try to get around Powell with a step of speed, and he does it, whips it in, ends up with the corner. But I have a feeling Spicer might be alone on an island out there a few times tonight. He's going to test those 1v1 skills.
First corner of the night for Toronto FC. Matty Longstaff stands over it. Stands it up towards the back post. Knotted straight down by Montlouis. A second effort. Perhaps a third chance still in store for Toronto. It's a long way to run, though, for Spicer. Kept in the neighborhood. Now Longstaff again. Timely step from Robinson. Cleaned up by Tom Nunga. Now Cincinnati in business on the counterattack. Denke. Further along for Odashano. Getting the better of Montlouis. Odashano touches it along, fist across goal, and Denke was a half step away from stabbing that home.
And Sean Johnson is irate. Right in the face of Spicer, not getting to the back post to track that runner, but great combination And it all started with Denke in the middle of the pitch, and he finds that overlapping run from Orejano right here. Orejano wants to get it back on the left, but then another overlapping run comes. It's fizzed across the face of the goal. And Denke doesn't miss by much, but Sean Johnson was straight out to Spicer, giving him an earful. And so much of what Pat Noonan talked to us about was finding those relationships and how can he find a way to continue to get Orejano, Denke, and Evander on the field. It's not going to happen necessarily right now because not everybody's 90 minutes fit. Evander has played a lot in those CONCACAF Champions Cup games, came off the other night, as you stated, with an injury on the roster tonight. Orejano just getting his first MLS minutes tonight. They're working their way in with these relationships and game fitness.
Denke on the turn once more. This has typically spelled trouble for Toronto. Let through, and Denke straight into the hands of Sean Johnson, but again, it's one or two passes and Cincinnati are on their way and bearing down on goal. But this continues to be a struggle. In moments like this for Toronto, they want to play out of the back and they want to keep the ball on the deck, Kendra, but the movement off the ball hasn't necessarily been there for them to be able to do that.
Well, and just Onunga read that one perfectly, and Osorio is trying to find his way down the line. He's asking for a longer ball down the line to break some of that pressure. Instead, it's played like he's checking back to feet, and there's no option centrally to build out. So Sean Johnson is holding the ball. His outside backs are coming back to receive it, and then that next pass after the wide pass isn't there. It's not available. There's a gaping hole in the middle of the pitch to try to build out.
Flores caught a little nibble from Corey Baird. Toronto go quickly from the restart, looking for the big switch, and Bernadeschi will pick up second ball, but dribble it out of play. Well, a source of steady goals would go a long way for Toronto. Not only has it been a struggle defensively, and they've been bleeding goals for the past few years, but their top goal scorers over the past 3 years or so have been hovering around 9 or 10, which is okay if you have 4 or 5 different players who are producing that sort of output. But it's been the likes of Prince Owusu, of course, is now with CF Montreal. He only put up 9 goals in league play last year. The year before that, it was rather woeful, with the leading goal scorer, or tied for first with 3 different Toronto players with 5. So they're trying to find somebody up top in that number 9 position, or somebody out on the wing who's going to really bang in 10, 12, 15 goals on a regular basis. They're perhaps hoping that Ulla Brynildsen is going to be the man, with Champions League and Europa League experience, getting his first start in Major League Soccer tonight. On loan from Michelin, the same club that Evander played in before he joined MLS in the Portland Timbers. Cut back for Alvis Powell. Took a second bite of it and won a corner. And Orejano getting a warm reception in the right-hand corner of the Cincinnati attack. Cleared away at the near post by Brynildsen, and Toronto will be able to step out. Teenager Debbie. Buka gets it back for Kubo. Ordashano and Flores both went to ground. And Johnson wisely will keep it on the deck for Tyrese Spicer. Now can they find an outlet? Brynildson trying to fend off Miles Robinson, and those two continue to duke it out. And Robinson lost his footing. But a cumbersome touch from Brynildson, and Ta'anunga comes sliding over.
Well, I think Brynildson saw this wide open late. The Red Sea parted in front of him for him to take that nice long touch. But how quickly Anunga recovered for Miles Robinson, and just a shoulder-to-shoulder battle on that sideline. It's going to be a tough one. Brynildson's going to have to ice his shoulders because he's been shoulder-to-shoulder with a few players tonight already. It's been a physical battle for these guys on that back line. But well covered by Anunga.
Spicer got it away for Osorio with a clever back heel. Zane Monlouis. Intended for Bernadeschi, and if not for that challenge from Cozy Thompson, who gave the ball away, Engel was on his way. He's looked much more lively tonight, particularly in the attacking third, Lucas Engel. Ordashano. Stood up by Thompson. Won by Hadebi. And some frustration growing with the likes of Bernadeschi and Brynildson, who only a couple times tonight have found the ball at their feet with an opportunity to break the other way. Now Powell. Engel helps it along. The Argentine Ordashano. Trying to get the cross away and wins another corner. We're seemingly at a stalemate right now, Kendra.
I think Cincinnati has had the better of the chances, but that, as we know, soccer's a funny game, and it only takes one moment, one miss, one chance going the other direction, and this fan base is just waiting for that opportunity to erupt. And Pat Noonan saying, we got to be better in front of our home crowd. We have to have a better home record in 2025, but they are struggling to find their way in this match, even though they're creating the opportunities.
Something from the training ground from Cincinnati. Almost came off as Robinson's header was picked off. Ordashano, nice dip of the shoulder. He'll look to pull the trigger here, and in fact he does. Saved by Johnson, and it's off the post on the second effort. That was Corey Baird who rocked the woodwork, and Johnson keeping Toronto in the game. And now cooking on the other end. Bernadeschi gets the better of Alvis Powell. And the Jamaican got a touch to it. The Bailey is shouting for a goal kick, and they'll get it. Now this is more like it.
When Orjano wants this on his left foot, and Spicer is doing his absolute best to stay with him stride for stride, but he creates a bit of separation. And how about the diving save by Sean Johnson? But it's the second opportunity. Corey Baird right there for the rebound, and he puts it off the near post. And the deflection falls kindly for Toronto, and how quickly they were out the other way. And that could have been one of those moments where, once again, Orjano is creating the opportunity. He's creating the moment, even if it's the opportunity for a rebound. Sean Johnson coming up big time with that save, diving to his right. And Bernadeschi in Toronto wanted to quickly transition out the other direction.
This exclusive NetCam replay is brought to you by T-Mobile. And Ordashano using the traffic in front as a screen. Johnson coming up with a save, and another missed sitter for Cincinnati on Tuesday night. It was Denke who missed one across the face of goal. Here's Yuya Kubo, batted away by Johnson again. He's been a busy boy. And Cincinnati, another deep throw-in as the Orange and Blue are pounding on the door of a go-ahead goal at the end of the first half.
And that's a couple of either deflections or rebounds off the post or Sean Johnson that are falling right to Monlouis. Does well to calmly knock that out for a throw.
Carried pass from Kubo. Spicer was trying to trigger the counterattack the other way with a 60-yard ball. Right now, there is a big disconnect between the midfield and the attacking front line of Toronto, which in these quick moments really is just Bernadeschi and Ulla Brynildsen. And they really don't have much help after that. But if they can't catch Cincinnati in one of these moments where they throw almost everybody forward, could spell an opportunity for the visitors. But for right now, Cincinnati doing all the threatening and looking like the side that's going to take the advantage. The player comparison is presented by Celsius, pure passion and maximum energy with zero sugar. And Miles Robinson and Zane Monlouis, the wily veteran and member of the U.S. men's national team, going up against the young man who's making his first start at the senior level. And right now, those numbers, particularly along the back line and how much possession Cincinnati has held, tells the entire story of sort of the flow chart of where this game has gone.
When Miles Robinson has been much more like this, where he can have the ball at his foot and pick out his next pass, his next choice. That one missed on the run by Powell, but again, just calm and collected, almost at the midfield stripe for his possession. On the other end is Monlouis just trying to get the clearances and ease some of the pressure.
Turned over cheaply by Puka. Brynildsen was in on goal, if not for an outstretched toe by Miles Robinson. The clearance is straight to the feet of Davy Flores. And now on wide for Jonathan Osorio. And he'll wisely turn around and keep possession. That's been a delicacy here at TQL tonight for Toronto. Foul committed by Denke. A little frustrated with the play from Corey Baird as those two continue to have a productive conversation.
Kind of forces Denke into that position. He ends up fouling Kevin Long, who, to be fair, hasn't really put a foot wrong for Robin Fraser. Yes, they've given up some goals, leaking goals at times, but he's been the one solid piece in the back line. And now with these injuries, he's going to have to continue to be.
Kevin Long with an inch-perfect ball for Spicer. Using his pace to get to the byline, but running out of real estate and going soaring into the advertisement stanchions, and especially on a chilly night, that does not feel good. These are the team benches built by the Home Depot. And for FC Cincinnati, Gilberto Flores, of course, was most likely going to start Tuesday night in that back three for Pat Noonan. Obino Wobodo is getting some rest tonight as well. Stefan Chirilla on the bench once more for FC Cincinnati. Meanwhile, for Toronto, slim pickings for Robin Fraser, and so much so that one of the members on their bench, Reed Fisher, wearing number 75, was only announced 3 hours ago as a short-term loan agreement for Toronto FC. Just barely getting the paperwork in on time to be able to register him as an eligible player for tonight's game. When that's happening, you know you don't have too many options, Kidra.
Yeah, and it's for Robin Fraser, a coach that's already trying to build some consistency and some cohesiveness within the group. You've got a couple guys on your back line that have been thrown into the fire and that have had to stay there. And then you've got some others, as you stated, that just had to be signed to the short-term agreements just before, hours before the match. But again, if you can go on the road and get a result with that situation, that could build some belief in chemistry within the group. So you just never know. And we're still 0-0 in the 45th minute of the first half here. And Toronto have yet to concede.
Isdin to Bernadeschi, who's come inside. Out wide for Thompson. And Bernadeschi once more. Looking to deliver on his left peg, instead chooses Thompson. Diving header away by Tine Tadebi, and Ismail Pekmic is going to bring the first half to a close. What was a rather dull first 30-35 minutes started to liven up a little bit. Sean Johnson called into action not once, not twice, but 3 different times in the final 15 minutes of the first half. And we had a woodwork sighting as well off the foot of Corey Baird after Sean Johnson denied Luca Orliciano of what would have been a spectacular opening goal for the Argentine in 2025. But as it stands right now, similar scoreline between these two sides in the west end of Cincinnati. It's FC Cincinnati 0, Toronto FC 0. in this Eastern Conference matchup. As Toronto still looking for their first win in the Robert Fraser era, still looking for their first win in this building, as Cincinnati looking to get back on track after their draw against Tigres on Tuesday night. Halftime report coming up next.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you taking more time off or putting more time in. They could mean more peace and quiet or more fun and games. Ideas you can drive or that drive you. From settling in to living it up, what ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.
Next up, let's go. To the line, Trinity. Nice, nice.
Cheers, soccer fans, football fans, TFC fans, any Cincinnati fans out there. What's up? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for the live stream hangout of every single Toronto FC game live right here on Toronto Sports Insider. And you know what? I just want to say it is so much fun to hang out with all of you guys here in the chat. We've got a triple header going on tonight. We've got TFC here, we've got the Leafs, we've got the Raptors. It's all going down on a Saturday night. You know what that means? It means it's spring. The seasons are turning. The sun is out a little bit. Life is good. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Go refill those drinks. Cheers to all of you. Now come on, TFC, let's get going and let's secure some points in this road victory before the home opener next week at BMO. I'm so excited. It would be so awesome if I could make it up there, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Dang. We'll see you back in the chat. Go TFC, go.
Quite a few moments from Toronto, and sometimes it was after the fact, after the play, some of the communication with each other, and Cincinnati just not able to take a hold of those chances. You see Kubo there, misses wide right. Then it was again Cincinnati building a good ball by Elvis Powell, but almost a turnover on Nunga. You think it's nothing, but instead he tries to pop it up over the top. This one off the woodwork, but the whistle had actually gone before that chance. A foul on top of the 18. Almost a dangerous ball there. With the square ball into the middle. Went to count it anyway, and it didn't on that second chance with the foul on top of the box. But again, Cincinnati growing into the game, creating a little bit of momentum. A nice little turn there, a ball out of the back from Miles Robinson. A good turn by Kubo, finds Denke, who spins it around and shields it to find the overlapping run by Orejano. And this is what I think we're going to continue to see more of as these relationships grow. The overlapping run on the left-hand side. Orejano wants to get it on his left, but instead he finds the pass. Monlouis doing his very best to stay in front and not give up a chance. Engel just drives it across the face of the goal, but no opportunity on frame there for Cincinnati.
And then this was the big moment. Luke Orejano getting on that famed left foot. Johnson makes a great save, but if you're Corey Baird, this one's going to keep you up tonight.
What if you're Sean Johnson? You're kissing the post on more than one occasion here. He makes a big-time save on the first chance, but it hits the post just right, that it doesn't come off his back, and it falls right to Monlouis, not to Denke, not to another TFC, not to another Cincinnati player. Instead, a clearance there by Monlouis in the back.
Well, a game dominated by Cincinnati from a possession standpoint. As far as shots on target or any shots of all, Toronto are really struggling. Kendra, what's been the biggest reason why they really haven't found their footing in this game?
Well, I just think they're having to do so much work defensively that they're just exhausted by the time they get it in that attacking third. And when they do find it in the attacking third, it's 1v2, 1v3, 2v4, trying to find the opportunities and just not enough combination play.
Well, the Bailey has been rocking, the woodwork has been rocked, but right now no score between Toronto and FC Cincinnati here at TQL Stadium. Stay with us, we're rolling through the halftime report.
Hey, sweetie, you good?
Someone stole my Old Spice antiperspirant. Now I'm smelling like perspirant.
I did. Force 24/7 sweat protection.
You did this to my bitch.
Hola.
Maybe a different beer?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Okay, be right back.
Mr. Messi.
Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. At IHG Hotels and Resorts, you can explore the neighborhood or live like a local. Unplug for the day or plunge into a long weekend with IHG.
There we go. Now we've got the camera set up. I've got to get this mic back on, but I'm not going to do that because I actually have my TFC jersey to put on. I don't know if you guys saw that in the preview episode. If you haven't seen that, it was running as the trailer as well today. Please go check out that video, hit the like, leave a comment, share it out. We are trying to build up this community to get ready for the SickKids Hospital Bracket Mania campaign here on Toronto Sports Insider. It's going to be so fun, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait until March 12th, the first game of the SEC tournament. We will be live for every single game of that tournament, getting ready for Thursday, March 20th, which is going to be absolutely insane. Big shout out to Tina from vidIQ. If you're watching this, I told you I was going to go live. I'm going live. There's Ryan with those TFC logos. Tiago as well. Thank you for translating the chat there from Portuguese because, yeah, I'm clueless when it comes to that. The Buds, the Leafs just scored, made it 4-2 on the power play. I love it. We've got 1,096 in the chat over there in that one. And then we've got the Raptors game live as well, with 62 Raptors fans hanging out, watching two of the worst teams in the NBA take on each other, as one is tanking for flag and the other is kind of making a push for that 10 spot as a playoff run. So we're having a blast here. I've got to set up, you see the tripods behind me there. I've got to get things set up for the Leaf stream so I can jump in there during the second intermission, which is coming up really quick, and the pizza's coming. So thanks for hanging out with us, ladies and gentlemen. TFC, come on, you're still in this. It's 0-0. I don't know how. It's been all Cincinnati, which is to be expected given the status of our team right now. You guys know, you're TFC fans. But we're right there. Can still get a point at a minimum, maybe even 3. I called it earlier. I thought it was going to be more high scoring. But it's been low scoring given the heroics of Sean Johnson in goal. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, back to the soccer, the hockey, the basketball. It's all here on Toronto Sports Insider. Lots of good soccer this weekend. MLS. Oh, man, I'm getting excited watching these MLS games, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long, long time. Ryan, you know. All right. So here we go. And there's Connor as well. I'm just chilling here. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Connor. Big shout out to Connor, dude. Hey, I'm telling you, man, we've got this, okay? We've got this. You have been such a help on this channel since I started it back on day 1 when you were with SOP. I mean, Connor, Columbus Sports Insider, I'm telling you, one day we're going to get there, my man. Cheers to that. We'll see you guys back in the chat. Big second half going to check on this this hockey game as well. Go Leafs, go Raptors, go TFC till I die. Let's go, baby. Oh yeah, go check out that YouTube channel as well. Toronto Till I Die podcast. Go check it out. Oh man, abs are pushing. Abs are pushing. All right. See you guys back in there. They're talking about the stats now.
To get forward and join in on the attack, and Baird kind of tucking in a little bit more centrally, so Orejano occupying the wide spaces in the attacking third and switching sides.
Well, the 13th all-time meeting between Cincinnati and Toronto right now is at a stalemate, but the one constant here in Cincinnati is the Bailey and what they bring to the table. They're hoping for a moment to erupt in the second half, which is
Cheers, soccer fans, football fans, TFC fans, any Cincinnati fans out there. What's up? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for the live stream hangout of every single Toronto FC game live right here on Toronto Sports Insider. And you know what? I just want to say it is so much fun to hang out with all of you guys here in the chat. We've got a triple header going on tonight. We've got TFC here, we've got the Leafs, we've got the Raptors. It's all going down on a Saturday night. You know what that means? It means it's spring. The seasons are turning. The sun is out a little bit. Life is good. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Go refill those drinks. Cheers to all of you. Now come on, TFC, let's get going and let's secure some points in this road victory before the home opener next week at BMO. I'm so excited. It would be so awesome if I could make it up there, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Dang. We'll see you back in the chat. Go TFC, go.
We about to level up. That's supersonic, I never see. Got the bands in the back, all eyes on me. I'm too fast, got high speed. That's supersonic, I never see. Got the bands in the back, all eyes on me. We about to level up.
The next icon of vacations, Star of the Seas. Book today.
AT&T has a new guarantee because most things in life are not guaranteed. Like booking the right rental car. Where's the rest of it?
Did you forget we had kids?
A friendly game staying friendly. Yo, chill, Granny.
It's a bank loan.
Or being alone during alone time. Yeah, that's not guaranteed. You know what AT&T guarantees? Connectivity you depend on, the deals you want, and the service you deserve. Or we'll make it right. That's the AT&T guarantee.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, Ohio. This broadcast of MLS on Apple TV is presented by T-Mobile. Still working our way through the last few brisk nights here in Cincinnati before spring finally comes upon us. And right now, both teams frozen out of the goal. Sean Johnson, a big part of that for Toronto FC. Meanwhile, for FC Cincinnati, doing a good job defensively. And as always, the supporter cam is brought to you by Lowe's. Visit Lowe's for the ultimate assist on your next project. And not just one of the hottest tickets in town to come to TQL, but also the Bailey. I hear, Kendra, because I've never been in it before, is one of the best experiences in town as well.
Well, we get to witness it from up here, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to get one of those clappers for you for your birthday.
Absolutely not. No. I'm not telling you when my birthday is. There you go. Well, we do have some substitutions on the side of Robin Fraser and Toronto FC. It is going to be DeAndre Kerr coming on and replacing Ulla Brynildsen, who Robin Fraser did tell us, Kendra, was only about 45 minutes fit. However, it is rare that the coach is actually going to agree spot on with what the sports science and the athletic training staff says. So that might be a first, but either way, DeAndre Kerr comes on always reliable off the bench, brings a level of pace and intelligence to the Toronto attack, always a spark. Meanwhile, that young man, Zane Monlouis, has held Cincinnati scoreless in his first senior start. Luca Ordociano trying to change all that in the second half, and away we go in the second 45 minutes. Again, Tyler Terrence along with Kindred St. Aubin. Match day number 3 here in Major League Soccer. Cincinnati balancing CONCACAF Champions Cup and their two-legged tie with Tigres. Meanwhile, Toronto FC, just league play to worry about, and it is worrisome, at least in the first 2.5 games or so. No wins, no points, but right now keeping the orange and blue at bay. And Ordociano in a nice little pocket of space right off the bat. Has Lucas Engel in front of him. Engel looking to whip it in. Spicer has it covered. Flicks it along, but only as far as Alvis Powell. So race to the ball, and beaten to the punch is Tyrese Spicer, and gets a little friendly "how do you do" from Pavel Buka.
We've seen a few of these shoulder-to-shoulder shoves tonight, but that one a little bit too much. Cincinnati, though, with an early chance, switching the ball down this left-hand side. The service comes in, then just can't do anything with it. And you and I were talking during the break, the longer Toronto can hang around and keep the Cincinnati side at bay with the attacking pieces that are on the pitch tonight. And Pat Noonan still does have Evander on the bench, but you'd have to think that Toronto will continue to gain confidence.
Spicer growing into the game. Big switch over for Thompson, and Celentano has to get down to make his first save of the night. So right out of the dressing room, and immediately Toronto looking way more threatening than what we saw in the first 45 minutes. And the big reason for that is Cozy Thompson at least getting forward and joining in on the attack, because as we talked about throughout the course of the first half, Kendra, slim pickings as far as options and numbers available into the penalty area. Winber Holtzen and Federico Bernardeschi were able to hold up the ball.
Well, and that was one of the first times we've seen Spicer get forward and have 2, 3, 4 white jerseys in the 18, to your point. Thompson joining in as well. But then they just have to be careful on the transition, because we also saw Cincinnati break out on more than one occasion in the first half, just not capitalize on it. So Toronto's going to have a decision to make here when they continue to go for it in the second half as the game wears on. Offside flag goes up on that one.
Well, the win probability has ticked down by a little more than 10% for FC Cincinnati from the start of the game until now. So the computer is starting to think that Toronto's starting to have a little bit more of a chance in this one, in addition to a draw playing a big factor, as this is given away by Toronto again. Denke passes it along for Yuya Kubo, and perhaps it had a little bit too much heat on it, because Kubo got the shot all wrong in the end, and it was fizzed in by Denke.
Watch the turn, though, by Denke as he opens up his hips and he finds the next pass. He sets himself up, and then as the double team comes, he puts it right in the path of Kubo, who gets the shot all wrong, but perfectly placed on the ground. Yes, fizzed in with some pace. I think Kubo just mishit that one.
We haven't seen Pavel Buka pop up in that familiar area just on the edge of the 18, where he's really enjoyed himself throughout the first 5.5 games of the season. Matty Longstaff. Johnson forced to get rid of it rather quickly. Corey Baird broken up by Nixon Gomez. Now Spicer, full of life and energy over on that left wing. Further along for Bernardeschi. Got the cross away. It's a good ball. Longstaff lays it off. Osorio's got some options. Thompson trying to go back for Osorio, but the window was too tight. Ordociano shouts for a handball from Davy Flores. Ordociano skipping away from a defender, and it looks like he picked up an injury along the way. He's going to go down. The foul will be called, and a yellow card issued in the direction of Cozy Thompson. But you could see Ordashano pulling up lame and unable to take advantage of the advantage that Ismir Pekovic wanted to let the Argentine play.
When you saw him just take some nice long strides there, and he just clips him. And I'm sure Pat Noonan and company are just hoping that he gets up to his feet and he's okay, because he took a stride or two and then he goes down. And Thompson catches him on that left leg as he's striding through.
Here is Ordashano, always working back towards that left foot. And now on Engel's left peg, as that ball takes no deflection into the Bailey. And now for a goal kick. And we're getting word now that Evander is getting set to come on for Pat Noonan. He did tell us that he was hoping that Evander was going to be able to go 45 minutes or so coming off of that superficial injury against Tigres. Pat Noonan electing to go with 4 at the back, which is deviating from his usual patented 3-back system that proved to be very fruitful in 2023 when they won Supporter Shield and got all the way to the Eastern Conference Final, losing in dramatic fashion to their arch rivals Columbus Crew in the Hellas Real Derby. Meanwhile, for Robin Fraser and Toronto FC, sticking with his 4-3-3. Here's Spicer again. Trying to curl one in for DeAndre Kerr, and it takes a nasty deflection off of teenage Adebi. And that could have gone anywhere. And typically in those situations, an own goal is a very likely end scenario, but luckily for the orange and blue, they come away unscathed.
Well, I'll tell you what, Spicer has been really good tonight. I mean, this 24-year-old making those runs up that left-hand side, getting his opportunity in the starting 11 tonight, and he's been barked at by just about everybody on the pitch, giving him advice on what he should and shouldn't be doing, and he drives forward after that give and go, and he plays that ball in right on the edge of the 6.
Sent in towards the back post, won by Alvis Powell, tracked down by Monlouis.
I mean, there's a lot being asked of a few young players on this squad from Robin Fraser and from the teammates that are on the pitch. High expectations and demands. Monlouis, one of them, as well as Spicer, as we just talked about. Now it's going to be on somebody else to finish it inside the 18 on this set-piece chance. They haven't had a lot of them.
Good swinger from Longstaff again. And again, it's towards the back stick. Flores up for the jump, but even too tall for him. And tomorrow night, Marcel Hartl and St. Louis take center stage in Major League Soccer when they visit Gabriel Peck and the defending MLS Cup champions. The LA Galaxy coverage begins at 6 o'clock Eastern time on MLS Countdown. Make sure you tune in right here on MLS Season Pass.
It was interesting, speaking of LA Galaxy, when we talked to Pat Noonan about their 2023 season and the success that they had, but realizing they couldn't keep all those players. They couldn't afford to keep all those players, and that's a little bit what LA Galaxy went through this offseason, understanding that with some of the restrictions on the salary cap and what they could and couldn't do, they've had to make some changes and rebuild a little bit, and that's a little bit what Greg Vanney is going through and having to move some players around.
Well, they're really struggling, the LA Galaxy, because the general allocation money was just released by Major League Soccer, and which teams have how much money left. And for LA Galaxy, it's a big goose egg, looking like my bank account after a rough night out in Cincinnati. However, the two teams on the field, Cincinnati has about $6,000 left, which might as well be nothing. And Toronto not exactly working with a large budget either. So what you see is what you get for the most part with these two teams until they can clear some space as Odeshano goes for goal and straight into the breadbasket of Sean Johnson.
Well, and one of your key pieces is injured for most of the season, so that where LA Galaxy's money is put and still is on the roster is not able to play, and Ricky Puig. So Craig Vanny once again has his work cut out for him.
Alvis Powell was feeling rather adventurous and was taking on two different Toronto defenders, Spicer and Jonathan Osorio. And it pops out for the Frenchman Gomes. Laid off by DeAndre Kerr. Osorio switch picked off by Lucas Engel. And Cozy Thompson is caught out of position, and thankfully his compatriot and Federico Bernardeschi able to break things up for the time being and allow Thompson to get back into position. Pavel Buka and Odeshano unloads again and had the interest once more of Sean Johnson. And you can tell the young Argentine is just calibrating.
Well, he's starting to take his shots and his opportunities a little bit farther and farther away from goal, but the way that left foot shot was curling, it was curling away from the far post all the way. But Sean Johnson still not quite sure, makes that dive just in case. Instead of the outside of the left boot curling around Sean Johnson and inside the side netting, it was curling away from goal the entire time. But you can tell Odeshano is just trying to find an opportunity to get on the score sheet and start this 2025 season for him in MLS play. Haven't said Denke's name in a while now. I'm sure he's going to start to want to check back a little bit farther and find the game.
Odeshano. Always going to be difficult to connect that dot with Yakubo. Thompson did well, and Bernardeschi forces Buka and teenage Debbie to run into each other. And now Thompson is on his way. Probably a little bit too early, still works out for Kerr, and he couldn't get his feet right. And eventually comes out to Pavel Buka. Toronto scrambling to get back in order. Kubo, heavy touch, and cleaned up by Montlouis. Well, we did mention to you that Evander was getting set to come on about 5 minutes ago. He ended up going back over with the reserves and warming up a little bit further, and now is taking off his training top and getting set to come on with two other teammates as well. It is going to be three typical starters for Pat Noonan, who are going to make their way into the fray here at TQL. DeAndre Yedlin, Evander, and Gilberto Flores are all getting set to come on. Kubo cushioning it down for Odeshano, and Jonathan Osorio was well aware of what the Argentine was trying to pull off. And the wily veteran says absolutely not. You can try that on someone else.
Bernardeschi has found himself back on the right-hand side here, trying to stay higher up the pitch and stretch the field a little bit. Asking for the ball on a big diagonal, but every time they've tried that, it's been picked off by Cincinnati when they've tried the big diagonal ball. Just not enough air under it, and well read by Cincinnati.
Given away, Tao Nunga stepping through and stepping up. Denke, Kubo, Odeshano. It'll be another Cincy corner.
And all that possession, trying to possess out of the back and find their way through. And finally, Toronto turns the ball over. An unfortunate pass that finds its way to the midfield and around the back. Denke, Kubo, Orejano just waiting on that left peg. Monlouis doing everything he can to stay in front of Orejano as he's been coming down that left-hand side. A tough task for anyone.
So it'll be teenage Adebi, Luca Orejano, and Lucas Engel making way for the three substitutes we mentioned in Evander, Gilberto Flores, and DeAndre Yedlin. Evander straight onto the field and straight onto a set piece. Clips this corner towards the back stick, and Sean Johnson, amidst a host of flailing bodies, able to collect the ball. And with more than an hour gone here at TQL Stadium, still no score between Cincinnati and Toronto. An oddly familiar scoreline for this fixture. As this one is clipped over the top for Bernadeschi, and the former Juventus man sizing up the U.S. international DeAndre Yedlin. Laid off for Matty Longstaff, and that was a decent opportunity, and he sends it halfway to Columbus.
And look, Robin Fraser said the conversation with Bernadeschi is, how do I find this guy the opportunities to put this team on his back, but also understand that sometimes that's making your teammates better. That's getting your teammates more involved. You see Bernadeschi there driving down the right-hand side, cutting it back in, and then looking for the next pass. But the strike and the finish just isn't there. So it's going to take a little time, and Bernadeschi's going to have to be patient. Robin said, I love that this guy wears his emotions on his sleeve, that he wants to put this team on his back, but sometimes that might be getting him more involved, not just taking everybody one-on-one or one-on-three, one-on-four to do it all yourself. Easier said than done sometimes, and you've got the quality Bernadeschi does.
Denke finding Alvis Powell, good defending from Tyrese Spicer, who is covering land, water, and sea over on that left wing. And the offside flag is up on Powell. The Matchday Live scores are presented by AT&T. And last time we checked, basically everywhere in Major League Soccer was enduring a 0-0 draw, but Sporting Kansas City and Peter Vermees' group have managed to dig one out in Washington, D.C. Everywhere else, status quo. Tell you what, you could have made a lot of money, Kendra, if you had made a 5-team parlay and said that all those games are going to finish 0-0. And then you wouldn't have the bank account problems that LA Galaxy have.
Or apparently the ones you do after a night out in Cincinnati.
I don't get many of them.
Let's see where Evander fits in this attack now that Orejano is off and Denke continues on.
Well, up next for Toronto FC, Federico Bernadeschi and company are going to take on the new-look Chicago Fire under Greg Berhalter on March 15th, 2:30 Eastern Time. Go ahead and get your tickets at mlssoccer.com/tickets. Fire still looking for their first win under Triple G. Got beat by the Crew week 1. Had 3 points stolen from them by DC United thanks to that bicycle kick from Jacob Morel in the dying moments. Had to settle for a point. Jonathan Osorio trying to find an option and finds the feet of DeAndre Kerr. Now Spicer. So shifty on the ball and can be very deceptive once he receives it. Turned over. Evander tried to get it away for Corey Baird, and Evander pulling up with an injury as well. And it looked like for a moment he was grabbing onto his back, which was the problem area. against Tigres. Now appears to be limping just a little bit after that. We'll see if, again, it's just a superficial injury for the Brazilian. Osorio gets on the better side of Tanunga. Bernadeschi. Thompson to his right.
He thought about blowing his whistle, didn't he? He put it to his lips, and then I think he decided Bernadeschi slipped on the ball or the turf. That's another one of those chances, though, for Toronto, where they have some good possession. They break out with some pace. They work it out to the right-hand side, and then it just kind of dies after that. They start to go backwards, and they lose possession in the middle of the pitch.
Yuya Kubo loses his footing in the middle of the pitch and coughed up possession as well. And then Evander is almost forced to commit that foul and goes immediately into the book of Ismir Pekmic. He's only been on the field for about 3.5 minutes, Evander, and already shown a yellow.
It's just a poor turnover, and he just clips him as Kerr looks like he's just about to break out.
Two substitutions getting ready for Robin Fraser, as it appears to be Alonso Coelho and Marcus Simmermansik. Evander trying to find Kubo, but once again thwarted by the Toronto back line. Bernadeschi slipping.
Still keeping possession. He keeps looking at his feet.
Bernadeschi, was it too heavy of a touch? It was, and he commits the foul as well.
And Longstaff just, I mean, Bernadeschi is almost still able to maintain possession there. But Longstaff plays it behind where he's making the run and just not on the same page. Instead of playing it down the line into space, plays it behind, and Bernadeschi tries to keep it.
Evander. Corey Baird. The Brazilian once more. Denke popping up. Crisp and clean movement here from the home side. Powell. Well defended by Kevin Long. Oh, reliable at the back, the 34-year-old from Cork, Ireland, in his second season with the club, with an important challenge as Cincinnati were stringing together a sumptuous move.
Well, and Sean Johnson with a pat on the back for him after that, because that's one of those moments where you've got to make a decision as a center back. Do you play this out over the end line, or do you hope that your keeper, if he calls it, he's going to get it? They give up a corner in the process.
Headed away by David Flores. All the way back for Alvis Powell. And fizzed over for Evander. Flores slipped. Evander shouts for a handball. And at least for the moment, they fall on the deaf ears of Ismir Pekmic, obviously subject to VAR review. Well, it certainly hit him in the hand. Whether or not it's going to be called a handball remains to be seen. Here's Gilberto Flores, the 21-year-old from Paraguay, dealing with the former Juventus man, Bernadeschi, and he prevents the corner. Going to be a triple substitution for Toronto FC. Simmermansik was originally set to come on, but now it's going to be Theo Corbeanu. And he'll be joining Alonso Coelho and Lazar Stefanovic. And VAR is checking that potential handball on Tyrese Spicer on the other end. At first glance, Kendra, was that a handball for you?
I don't think it was. I think it looks more like the shoulder to me, and he's kind of dips his shoulder.
But now Ismir Pekmic is being told he needs to go take a look at it.
Or did it catch his hand after it dropped off? I mean, I'm looking at it pretty closely here. We're seeing the same thing that the official is seeing here. He clearly leans towards it.
And he attempts to take his arm away as well. Because as he's leaning into the ball, you can see his arms start to go behind his back a little bit.
Like he's trying to catch it with the left edge, you know, on his chest.
Well, the call on the field is obviously no handball, so there needs to be reason to believe it's a clear and obvious error for Ismir Pekmic to overturn it.
After review, Toronto number 16 handled the ball inside the penalty area. The final decision is a penalty.
Kendra, is that harsh for you?
I thought it was. But I'm 0 for 2 on the season here. I was pretty sure it was a penalty last week in the Minnesota-Montreal game, but again, it looks like he's leaning into it. To me, it looks like he catches his left shoulder, his left arm, and then falls down as he's trying to move his arm away.
And immediately going to grab the ball is Cincinnati's number 9, Kevin Denke. And whether harsh or not on Tyrese Spicer, the fact remains 12 yards separate Denke from one of the great goalkeepers that this league has seen over the past decade in Sean Johnson. This to give FC Cincinnati some much needed life in this building. Kevin Denke scores! And TQL can roar again. A much needed shot in the arm for FC Cincinnati.
And in front of the Bailey, no less. They have been waiting all night to erupt and find their opportunity to cheer this squad on as they do so often. And this time, it's a service in from Evander and Spicer, who has played so well all night long, tracking back defensively. Gets called for the handball, and Denke makes no mistake about it. A little bit of a stutter step up to the ball. Sean Johnson dives to his left. Denke nearly right down the middle to give Cincinnati the 1-0 lead.
So Corbanu, Coelho, and Stevanovic all onto the field for Toronto FC after the Kevin Denke goal. And the Bailey rejoices thanks to their $16 million man, Kevin Denke, who now has 5 goal contributions in the first 6 games of his Cincinnati career. And Sergio Santos will come onto the pitch as well. And that will be Kevin Denke's final act of the evening. He delivers, the Bailey bounces, and now Toronto, all to do in the remaining 20 minutes or so. High challenge from Matty Longstaff. Kubo. And the Brazilian Santos. Stood up by Kevin Long and company. But the clearance is a wayward one, straight to the feet of Tanunga. A little bit of miscommunication defensively with Toronto. And they'll have to be a bit more the instigator for the remaining 15 minutes. And being on the road, still searching for their first win of this season. Would be happy to take away a point at this point in time, so you have to imagine they're going to start to throw some more numbers forward and be a bit more daring. As Coelho goes to ground and times it perfectly. But Matty Longstaff sends it out of play.
Oh, and Coelho there looks like he was going to get spun around by Santos, but you're right, he just times it perfectly, gets a toe in there to force their turnover, but then once again, Toronto can't keep the possession out of winning the ball back. And then right back on defensive duties. Down 1-0 in the 77th minute. What is that shape going to look like going forward, and what do you do to go find the game? Kerr up there kind of chasing by himself. Bernadeschi starting to stay a little bit higher, dropping back a little bit less.
Stefanovic signing Osorio. The captain surveying, inching forward, but as he's done so many times tonight, picks his head up and not exactly spoiled for options. Longstaff. Theo Corbinu. Looking for an avenue to pull the trigger. Comes off the backside of Tanunga. And Bernadeschi calms it down for Cozy Thompson. And his passes only to Pavel Buka. And then Corey Baird is sent on his way. Stefanovic racing to get back in position in goal side. Baird helps it along. Evander pops out for Yuya Kubo. And the offside flag is up. Second time tonight that Yuya Kubo has seen the ball find the back of the net, but a whistle denies him the opportunity to celebrate.
Well, and as this ball is kind of bouncing around and gets stuck in the feet of Santos and Evander, they're trying to find their way out, and it looks like Kubo just continues forward. He's trying to tiptoe on that line, barely in an offside position. But a little congested on top of the 18 to begin with between Evander and Santos, trying to find their space and their runs in the attack for Cincinnati.
Osorio chasing it down. Alvis Powell trying to link up. Now Corbinu. Given away by Toronto again, and they need to be careful, otherwise that second goal is going to come their way. Yedlin. Kubo riding the challenge from Coelho, and doubled down by Matty Longstaff. We have to say this about the visitors. It's been much more compact defensively than what we saw against Orlando last weekend.
Well, that was something Robin Fraser said immediately, even with the changes in the back line and the substitutions that he was going to have to make with the injuries, is we have to be tighter. We have got to tighten up and also not hang our heads when we give up a goal. And I know they didn't give up a goal early to Cincinnati in this match, but they gave up some opportunities, but yet they didn't let that mentality change. And yes, more compact, tighter. I think it's the build out when they win the ball back that they need to work on a little bit. Then how do they transition from that defense to offense and find the confidence with the ball? I think they're so afraid they're going to lose it quickly that they're just locking it down and not spreading out, or at least attacking with numbers. They've been on the road for the first 3 matches of the 2025 season. I'm sure it'll be nice to get home, be in front of their home fans. Like even right there, you see Bernardeschi, he's looking, he's trying to find the central part of the pitch. Where is an option? Longstaff and Coelho are almost even with each other, in line with each other in the passing path in the center of midfield. Where is the staggered option to give them some depth in the middle of the field? If you're occupying the same space on the same plane.
Makes it easy to defend. Timely intervention from Cincinnati. Evander couldn't quite handle it. Kubo attempting to put the pressure on Coelho, but he senses it well and is able to find an outlet through Osorio. Kerr attempting the return for Stevanovic. The heat map is presented by IHG. 19 brands, 6,000 destinations. Download the app today. And Federico Bernardeschi hasn't really been a huge part of this game, but he has been occupying a similar part of the field that we're used to seeing him in. And here is the Italian, working on DeAndre Yedlin. Turning back to his left peg. Deliveries denied initially by Buca, and Bernardeschi going again. And running into a host of blue and orange kids. And Santos tasked with holding the ball up. And Buca turning out of pressure. And Corey Baird had an option with Yu Kubo had he turned the other way. And less than 10 minutes remaining in this one. And right now, FC Cincinnati on their way to their 2nd win of the season, thanks to a penalty from Kevin Denke after a VAR review determining that Tyrese Spicer did handle the ball inside the penalty area. And that's the difference between the two sides. And Cincinnati would love to take 3 points, no matter how it looks, into their 2nd leg affair against Tigres down in Monterrey on Tuesday night. It was intended for Santos. Well played by Zane Monlouis, who I'm sure is head coach Robin Fraser will be very pleased with how his first senior start has gone. And orange and blue fans will have the opportunity of seeing their side against the other Queen City in Charlotte FC on March 15th. On Saturday at 7:30 Eastern time, taking on Wilfred Zaha and Dean Smith, as Obina Wobodo is going to come onto the scene, and he got 83 important minutes of rest before Tuesday night's CONCACAF Champions Cup affair. And Wobodo replacing Corey Baird, who's going to take the scenic route back to the technical area.
What I was just about to say, you were just talking about Monlouis and the shift he's put on tonight, and coming in the last match as well, putting in some good minutes. And Robin Fraser telling us heading into this, and we said it more than once, he was kind of thrown into the fire, and he was kind of hoping to take him back out of the fire and ease him back in and continue to sort of acclimate to the system and to this team in this league, but instead thrown right back in the fire again. He goes down, he sits down, dealing with a little bit of something after the shift he's put on tonight, and an important rest for several guys on this Cincinnati side heading into Tuesday. So not only could they still possibly come away with the 3 points tonight in the 85th minute of this match at home, but a rotation of squad and allowing some of these guys some much needed rest heading into Tuesday before back to league play next Saturday.
And Derek Etienne is going to make his 2025 debut with Toronto FC after starting in 19 games last year and scoring 3 goals. Been a bit of a journeyman in Major League Soccer, Derek Etienne, but the Haitian international usually provides goals and pace and an ability to run at defenders in 1v1 situations at every stop that he's made. And he replaces Amon Louis, who picked up a knock as we were just praising him for his performance throughout the first 84 minutes of the night. Miles Robinson looking for the big switch. Bino Wobodo. Now Yedlin. Wobodo helps it along for Evander. And Santos thought that he had a runner behind him. Or perhaps just thought the pass was too hard from Evander. The match momentum is presented by Old Spice. And for those of you who are wondering what momentum is, it's more or less just a cocktail of a bunch of different analytics that are baked in, and every 5 minutes it sort of tells you who's more likely to score the goal and how likely they are to score the next goal. And well, there's very little red on this momentum chart, Kendra.
Yeah, very indicative of how this match has gone, even though it's only 1-0. Cincinnati have had the better of the possession, the better of the chances, and for the most part, Toronto was hanging on there until that handball late in the game by Spicer allowed Cincinnati to get that goal, but the momentum seemed to be in Cincinnati's favor the entire match.
Derek Etienne. Osorio. Longstaff. Bernadeschi. Thought about delivering and got caught in 2 minds, and his touch was heavy.
That's exactly what I was just, we spent too much time together.
Yep.
I was literally just gonna say that.
Kubo and acres of space over on the far side of the field, and what a ball from Evander for Kubo to be able to run onto. Yuya Kubo to seal the deal. 3 points to the orange and blue. And amidst this difficult stretch, those 3 points will be a mighty relief. And it's the crowd favorite Yuya Kubo to provide the exclamation point.
Well, and it's the first goal of the season for Kubo in MLS play, and you see this all starts from that Bernadeschi turnover. Got caught between 2 lines. He was going to serve it to the back post. Instead, picked off his foot, and it's Kubo making the run, and Cincinnati on the transition. And he beats Sean Johnson. It's been a tough task tonight. Sean Johnson has come up big time, but he puts it in the only place. He can't make the diving save, and it's inside the post. The post doesn't save Sean Johnson this time, and Kubo gets his goal. And how good it must feel for Cincinnati, though, to score a goal in the run of play in a game where it felt like they deserved another and had created plenty of opportunities and in front of the Bailey. The 3 points, I think, will feel a little bit more sweet with the goal like that in the run of play, especially heading into Tuesday on the road.
Well, and what was a different life for FC Cincinnati, Yuya Kubo came to the club as a DP striker. Since then, several years ago, he has virtually played every single position on the field outside of goalkeeper. He's played wingback, he's played fullback, he's played in the middle of the park as a number 10, he's played as a holding central midfielder, in addition to playing up top as well. And last year, in what was supposed to be a season dominated by big names like Lucho Acosta and Luca Ordashano, which it was, he quietly scored 10 goals as well as DeAndre Curris tripped up right at the edge of the area, very close to being a penalty and a yellow card for Alvis Powell as well. And Toronto FC not going quietly into the night, and will now have a dangerous set-piece opportunity about 18.5 yards away.
Well, that's a great turn by Kerr, and you see the double team coming there between Miles Robinson and Alvis Powell, just clipping him a little bit too much. The contact outside of the box as he falls into the box. Earns himself a yellow, and could be one of the last real chances for Toronto to get something from this game and spoil a clean sheet from Celentano.
Well, of course, Federico Bernardeschi is going to be standing over it. But a left footer on top of this set piece is really difficult to try to beat a goalkeeper of Roman Celentano's caliber.
I don't think he's giving it up, though. I would agree with you. This is not the angle for a left-footed shot on frame.
8 minutes of stoppage time to finish up here at TQL. Still plenty of time for Toronto to at least make Cincinnati think about it. Bernardeschi. They hit it with plenty of venom. This exclusive NetCam replay is brought to you by T-Mobile.
Just well done by Kubo and on the transition. And you know what else was key for that is he kept his width in that transition moment. He didn't make his run narrow. It would have been easier to defend and also probably a better angle for Sean Johnson to cut him off, to come out and cut off that angle. Kubo kept just wide enough to draw the keeper to that side and then slot it home to the back post. It's always fun to see the Bailey go wild, even if it is off a penalty kick or if it's off a goal on the run of play. And they don't leave early, I'll tell you that much. We'll get you on the drums next time.
No, I am musically challenged. If I get on the drums, you're on the brass. You're on the trumpet.
Oh yeah, no chance. Nobody wants that.
Kerr's been causing some problems since coming on. And Albino Wobodo going shoulder to shoulder with Jonathan Osorio. But Ismir Peknic, our referee, says a little bit of extension from the TFC club legend. Osorio, all-time leader in appearances and minutes and games played.
Well, nothing but praise for him from Robin Fraser, just saying, look, 10 years ago when I was here, it's been really nice to get to work with Osorio again, and this mature 10 years later leader of this squad wearing the captain's armband.
And he's really the only remaining member from that great Toronto FC 2017 side, which is the only Major League Soccer side to win the domestic treble. That's the Canadian Championship, the Supporters Shield, and MLS Cup. And then the run that group made that was spearheaded by the likes of Sebastian Giovinco, Josie Altidore, and Michael Bradley. But in the midfield and sort of the unsung heroes and not grabbing all the headlines was actually Mark Delgado and Jonathan Osorio, who were doing a lot of the dirty work in the middle of the park. Delgado, of course, winning his second MLS Cup, this time with the LA Galaxy. Last year under Greg Vanney, of course, who led those Toronto teams. And now Mark Delgado in the other part of Los Angeles. And you just wonder what his reception will be when El Tráfico kicks off for the first time this season. Stefanovic. Osorio. Ball clipped in, but no white jerseys inside the penalty area. It's a stern shop that FC Cincinnati have set up while Toronto are trying to make something of this game in the final few minutes. Bernardeschi. Can he cook something up? That was the right idea. But couldn't find the head of Derek Etienne, and now Ta Nunga on the other side. Valuable minutes that he's given to the club tonight to be able to relieve the likes of Albino Wobodo, who is only going to end up playing about 15 minutes with regular time and stoppage time added in. Toronto's first positive result of the season will come against Greg Berhalter and the Chicago Fire in their home opener at BMO next weekend. Historically, Chicago have struggled north of the border at BMO. Coelho. Well read by Kubo. Perhaps a third for Cincinnati. Santos. And Kevin Long knew that the Brazilian was cutting back to his left the entire time.
How many times, though, have we said Kevin Long's name tonight in a position where he's had to come up big time on that back line for Robin Fraser, especially with the changes that were made in the starting 11 tonight due to injury and absences. He's been the ever-present piece in these first 3 matches.
Bernadeschi, Etienne making a run forward. At the bare minimum, created some space. Theo Corbanu, former Wolves man, and it denied by DeAndre Yedlin, and a quarter is forthcoming for Robin Fraser's side. Swinger from Bernadeschi. Won by Flores. Long-range effort by Coelho, denied before it could get to Celentano. And then cleared away by Alvis Powell. Make sure you tune in to another edition of Sunday Night Soccer tomorrow as the reigning MLS Cup champions LA Galaxy and Gabriel Peck take on St. Louis City in what should be a phenomenal matchup on Sunday. Coverage begins right here on MLS Season Pass at 6 o'clock Eastern time with the gang. And what a welcomed addition to the schedule, Kendra. Finish up our games on a Saturday, head home, be able to watch a marquee matchup on Sundays.
And even the Saturday afternoon slate, there's a couple games that are, as we're getting ready for the day or for our game, get to catch the first half of something before we get on our way to the stadium.
Today you could have caught Jordan Morris becoming the all-time leading goal scorer in Seattle Sounder history as Seattle exercised some demons against LAFC. 5-2 was the final score against the side that really had their number last year in almost every single competition. And that's going to do it full-time. FC Cincinnati on short rest, but still get the job done. It wasn't necessarily aesthetically pleasing for Pat Noonan's side, but a penalty from Kevin Denke and then an exclamation point from Yuya Kubo sees them secure 3 points on just 3 days of rest before they head down to Tigres to take on.
What's up, insiders? Here we are. We've got the New Jersey on. All right, the audio seems to be working pretty well. Until I said that, right? Okay, now. We're going to send you guys right over to the Leafs game. It's just finishing up. There's 2.5 minutes to go in the Leaf stream. We've got 1,332 people over there. TFC fans, TFC till I die. Let's go. We'll see you over in the Leafs chat. Go TFC, go home opener next week. Ryan, those tickets might be yours. I got to figure out if I can lower the price on them or something because they didn't sell. Cheers. Go TFC, go. Be an honor, Ryan, to have you in those seats for the home opener if that is the case. Cheers, y'all. I don't even have my water right now.
Time again, making the right run at the right time, and what a ball by Evander, by the way. Opens up his hips, hits it with the right foot, and we talked about it earlier. Kubo keeping his run just wide enough to force the issue with the back line. Long trying to make that run over, and Johnson can't make